Great, and fuck it, everybody. We are here for the last race of the year, race 21, Abu Dhabi, race in the desert, the jewel of the crown of the desert. Probably they're going to be racing camels this year, I think, because it's going to be just as exciting, apparently. And no, in fact, it was just as exciting because Lewis Hamilton, and Lewis Hamilton to start it off in the right way, which is to say, pole position, led every lap, fastest lap of the race, new track record, first man to cross the line with 4 wheels, and probably very many other records that he's probably done. So I'm just going to pour myself a glass of fucking booze. Oh, I got to fucking uncork the damn thing first. There we go. I've got a cheeky little number here, as you can probably see. Cheeky little number from Aussie land. Very fucking nice. 2010. Lovely year. Glug, glug, glug. There we go. Just fill the fucker up. Why not? Cheers. Cheers, Fabio.
Cheers.
All the best to you.
Cheers.
And
yeah.
Also this week, thank you very much. Lovely bit of beer there. Also, we're going to be I'm going to be doing the voices of Niki Lauda to go along with Fabio's fantastic car that he's built.
Yeah.
So let me. What is little Niki Lauda there? It's little Niki Lauda to go with his little car. Oh, what did he tell him about the car, Fabio, that you built for me?
Oh no! Well, it's the car that you almost died. So yeah, there you go. You can do that too.
Yes, yeah. Oh,
there you
so
go.
It comes apart just like the real thing.
It comes apart, yeah.
Have you tried burning it yet?
No, actually, I mean, it's an interesting car because that's the car which basically saved the life of Niki Lauda. You know, the fact that he had a metal chassis towards
nice.
with carbon.
Yeah.
It basically saved his life. So what?
Take us round it. Let's see the inside properly.
Well, yeah, the inside properly. So there you go. So
there it is.
Yeah.
There's all the Ferrari secrets laid bare there, Pete.
Yeah. I mean, the gearbox. I mean, the proper gearbox. I mean, you had a fucking shift lever.
I'd like you to notice that just behind this driver's seat, if you could just go behind the driver's seat for me.
Yeah.
If you notice there's an extra big fuel cell. Extra big. I think that's 4.8 kilograms bigger than regulated. Cheers, Fabio. Cheers, Fabio.
It's $50,000 worth of petrol. I don't know how the fuck they mentioned that, but yeah. Well, anyway. Point. There you go.
There we go. So you finished the car. Fantastic.
Yeah.
And there it is for everybody. Oh, I'm going to have to there we go. Move across a bit. There we go. Okay, so back to seriousness, though. Abu Dhabi, the last race of the year, started with Lewis in pole. There was a pretty clean lap and some great overtaking in the first lap. Most of the great overtaking happened in the first and last lap. But in the first lap, Leclerc managed to get past, I think it was
Verstappen.
Verstappen, thank you very much, Verstappen, on a really great overtake, I have to say. And Vettel tried to follow him through. He got past down the first straight, and then Verstappen got him back down the second straight. A great overtake by Verstappen, though, so as we have come to expect. Other than that, Gasly was in the wrong place at the wrong time. In this case, that's next to Stroll. And they managed to take him out. A bit unfortunate for Gasly, who's had a pretty good year, really, considering the unfortunate circumstances that he's been put through, which basically means being demoted from Red Bull to Toro Rosso.
Yeah.
McLaren did very well. Managed to secure 4th place in the constructors, maybe 5th. 4th place. We're going for 4th place, Fabio?
Yeah, they went ahead of Renault. So yeah, I think it's 4th place. Yeah.
Excellent. That's good to know. I'm making that up as I'm going along. You might not be able to tell people, ladies and gentlemen, but yes, this is how we work things. We make it up as we go along.
Yes.
Speaking of making up as we go along, There was also Bottas went from last place to
Yes.
fifth,
Yeah.
maybe fifth, fourth,
No,
fourth,
fourth. Fourth.
fourth.
Yeah.
Man, I'm still making it up, but there we go. He made it
No,
up, and he
I
made
mean
it all the way up to fourth place, which
it's
is
good
a
enough. I mean,
fantastic.
I can tell you, it could have gone, way. I mean, way farther than that. I think he lost 15 seconds because the DRS apparently wasn't working for the first 18 laps.
Yeah.
And I have a good confidence that it was Jacques Villeneuve which made with sabotage, the old system. Yeah, I was very happy about that. I mean, it was actually really funny. I mean, for a chance to see the Mercedes, Bottas could not overtake the Renault of, I think it was Ricciardo Hulkenberg. They have no fucking way to overtake that. So yeah, but I think he lost something like 15 seconds because of the DRS not
Yeah,
working.
yeah. Again, yes, absolutely. A bit unfortunate for the young man Bottas, really, because I'm sure he could have got on the podium. Although I'm not sure he actually deserved to, because
No.
I thought Leclerc did extremely well this race. Vettel got overtaken by Verstappen.
Yeah.
I think Albon overtook Vettel, and that was quite an interesting overtake. He showed his cutthroatness because he was coming through regardless of whatever happened, and really it was Vettel who avoided the accident rather
Yeah.
than Albon who created
Hey,
it. So yeah,
I
very
mean,
good, very good.
you live and learn,
Yeah,
apparently.
yeah. Well, yeah, you crash and learn normally. Crash
Yeah.
and learn normally, but there you go. He's a nominal Brit as far as I'm concerned, and so I'm quite
Oh,
pleased.
Albon?
Albon, yeah.
Oh, it's okay. Now everybody's a fucking Brit.
Well, no, not everybody.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Not everybody. Just those that are British and grew up in Britain. You know,
I, don't-
he could have raced for Britain if he'd wanted to.
I don't know if Boris Johnson agrees with you, but I mean,
But he's not a
what do I
Brit.
know? Oh, Boris Johnson's not. Okay, yeah, I see what you did there. Yeah, cool. Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah. Anyway, there you go. Yeah, Eastern European. I don't know exactly where he's from, but anyway, it's certainly not Thailand. So there you go. But anyway, either way, I think it was a good race. Under
Was
the
it?
circumstances, because you don't normally get great races.
Because I fell asleep. I don't know about you.
Not again.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
fuck
dear.
yeah.
Jesus, your name should be
Oh gee, I mean, thank God,
Lewis Hamilton.
thank God it's over. Jesus Christ, I mean, what a fucking mess it was. Yeah.
21 races is a long season. I know that.
No, and also thank God it's over because I was expecting a little bit more, and it didn't happen. It was really really weird track. The car were performing really strange. In the third sector, Mercedes was, I think, 0.8 of a second faster than all the other cars. It was fucking insane. They were losing something like 2 or 3 tenths in the first two sectors, and then they got 18 of a second in the third sector. It was a really great downforce, and it showed, when they didn't have the DRS, it really showed what are the, I would say, weakness of the car, but it's not really a weakness, it's by design. So yeah, and also, I mean, Ferrari managed to, to fuck it up a little bit anyway. So yeah, there was
a little
that.
bit.
Yeah. I mean,
it was it's a bit, again, another strange race from Ferrari. One might say this fuels the the what should we call, conspiracy theory about the fuel flow problems. Because we did say a few races ago, well, it's too early to tell whether this is the case or not, because Ferrari might just be track dependent. But now we've been to 2 more tracks and they still haven't performed. Yeah, then maybe there is something to it.
No, okay. On a serious note, I think that the fuel was because of the fact that usually when the car, go on the grid, they make a couple of laps and they go through the the pit lane. While Ferrari made only 1 lap and they stopped. I don't know why, because they had to fix some stuff. So the the excuse, the reason why it was too much fuel is that because they made less laps. So I mean, they calculated that, and that's it. I mean, it's I don't think it's a big deal. They just give it a fine, which I think it's correct.
Mm. Yeah, I'm never really that into the fine as a penalty because I mean, it depends on what it is. As long as they didn't put more than 110 kilos in the car, then everything's fair as far as I'm concerned. So,
Yeah,
um,
I mean, I don't think that was. I don't think that was the problem of Ferrari. They didn't get any big chances because the fact that, I mean, they were actually heavier. So, if not, they were penalized, and there was no good reason why. They gave it anything but a fine.
yeah,
So
yeah, I would tend to agree. It's a bit of a nothing, but it's just their lack of performance again
yeah.
in this race that was I was really referring to about the fuel flow issue. Maybe there was something going on there, but we don't know, and it's pure speculation that I'm just trying to stir it up, really.
Yeah, but see, it's really funny, because as we saw in Brazil, for example, there were data saying that the engine in Ferrari is still the most powerful engine on the grid, regardless of the performance. So it's a balance, so it's not only the engine, it's the whole package.
Yeah. Again, agreed. But I'm just trying to stir up some conflict, really.
Yes, yeah.
But there you go. Maybe they are, maybe they aren't. So we don't know because it was never really. They never really regained their performance, which is a little disappointing. Hopefully, by next year they will have sorted that out, and we will be back to getting some kind of performance from the Ferrari. So that'll be good.
I just hope they're going to be able to make a most overall good car, and which is not really depending on the kind of circuit. A little bit like last year car, up until the end, the middle of the season, where they had other problems. But that I think last year car was overall way more balanced car. It was able to fight on all a bigger range of configuration of circuit. While this one, it seems to be that it was really specific, and the fact that they had a lot of problem at the beginning of the season where they could capitalize on their advantage on some circuit, and they didn't. That was something that they carried on through all the season. So
yeah. I'm not sure I completely agree. I mean, I don't blame them for going down this design route of trying to be low downforce, low efficient downforce. And I think maybe, but I think it's a little naive in this modern age where tires are everything, and not getting the tires to work has been the issue, or at least not having the longevity out of the tires, even if they get them to work, which they have been able to, certainly through qualifying, etc. But not so quick to turn them on during the race. So after restarts and from the beginning of the race, etc., they haven't been as quick to capitalize, whereas they were in the past. And maybe that's the subtle difference.
I think that what they did is that they thought. I don't think that they built a car like that by design. I think. I mean, my opinion is that they started from last year car, and they thought they had a way more balanced overall package, and they tried to go to the extreme in one direction. What I think it happened is that they were caught by surprise because that extreme performance on low drag circuit, low downforce, it took away so much from the overall balance of the car that I think they caught them a little bit by surprise. That this is my, it's just a hunch. There's nothing, I can say more precise about that. But I think this is what happened. They started from the pack and say, okay, this is pretty good, but because of we still have to beat those guys, let's push it a little bit on one side of the scale rather than the other to see if we can get some advantage there.
Yeah. I mean, I would agree that was the idea, but I would say McLaren in the past has tried that already
Mm.
and found that it's not a working thing
It
in
is not.
Formula One because you don't get the tyre performance. The
Right.
tyres are always the key issue here. Keeping the tyres in the right window is the issue, and to do that,
Mm.
you need large amount of downforce. It seems because, and here's the real killer, because we can almost guarantee that the tyre manufacturers are going to go conservative. They don't want their tires to blow up. So you need that extra downforce, knowing that
Right.
they're gonna be conservative when it comes to tire choices at most of the circuits.
It's also a fact that the window where the tire work is really, really, really narrow. So once you go outside that, for one reason
Hmm.
or the other, you lose performance. Yeah,
For
that's
sure.
pretty much I think what happened.
I would agree.
Yeah, I still think that they were caught a little bit by surprise by how unbalanced the car was, towards a low downforce type of car. I don't think, and I mean, and you can see because if you remember in the middle of the season they brought a new package which was a little bit more different and
Yeah,
a little bit more efficient. And it seems to be that we're going towards that way. They realized that they had a killer engine, and they said, what, okay, let's put some drag because this is where we are failing. But
yeah,
it was a catch up race at that time. And also, all the mistakes that they did, strategy wise and and accident wise, all that stuff, it didn't play really well towards the overall result,
yeah,
which is still, the second. They got second in championship, in the manufacturer, which is good. They lost the Leclerc lost the third place
mm,
in the drivers. I think it was still going for that, up until the last two races, but then all the fuck ups happened. I think I was pretty happy about that. I was really happy to see the podium. I think that the podium was really good. Lewis, Max and Leclerc. Uh, that is really, it it
yeah.
it
Expressed the year very well. Yeah.
yeah, and I think it gets the right expectations for next year. Even if next year is gonna be
Well, yeah, maybe
yeah.
that's a little controversial. I would have thought Sebastian will still be the number one driver at Ferrari. Despite the fact that Leclerc's had such a good year. I mean, they're going to be paying him a considerable amount more than Leclerc. So,
Hmm.
and you can't really say no if you're going to pay one driver considerably more. You can't say no to him that he's not going to be the number one driver. I don't think that's realistic either. So,
Well, I think the Ferrari still needs Vettel. Leclerc is really fast. It has been shown, through the year, but he's really young. I don't think I don't think he has the technical abilities, to understand how the car really works. He cannot give the proper reasons why the car is working or not. So I think that Sebastian input is still really, really, really important. Up until
yeah.
2021, where probably Lewis Hamilton is going to come in Ferrari, and we'll see what happens.
Oh, I doubt it. Not without a serious improvement in the Ferrari next year.
I don't know. The
Uh,
guy, said something really interesting. So, but yeah, we'll see.
how much were they paying Schumacher? Do you know?
No, I can't remember.
I think it was something in the region of 35 million a year.
Yeah, maybe. I can't remember. Well, I don't think they paid that much when they got him.
Uh, mm, okay. Well, again, I'm probably not when they first got him.
Yeah.
But it quickly went up to that. Plus, he was on another 70 million in endorsements,
Well,
and that
listen.
that, that included Shell. So
Well, I don't think that Vettel is there for free.
no, but I don't think it's 35 million either.
No. Well, yeah. I don't know.
No, I should think it's nearer 10 to 15 million. Nothing like 35 million that they were paying Schumacher. And I don't think they would get Hamilton for a lot less than 30. So, yeah.
Listen. The thing is that if Lewis follows is because he expressed some kind of desire. You know,
Yeah.
yeah. So if he does that, it's not going to be a money problem.
Well, I don't think there needs to be a money problem, but again, I would think he would, for self-respecting reasons, he wouldn't want to go in at too much
No,
less than Schumacher.
no. Well, yeah. I mean, you have a
Especially,
point.
especially as they were paying Raikkonen 30 million not 2 years ago,
Right.
right?
But
So,
you see, I mean, it's not going to be. It's not going to be, you know, a problem of money. It might be super dangerous for Lewis, you know, to go there. There are many of really big champions which have been burned by that experience. You know,
yeah.
I mean,
Well, all of them. All of them.
Mansell, Prost.
Yeah.
I mean, Alboreto too, in a way.
Alonso,
Alonso, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of people.
Vettel.
Well, yeah, Vettel so far. I mean, I'm talking about the already burned one, you know, the one which really got. Yeah. So it is. It
I
is
mean,
dangerous.
I just go back to it. Alonso's prediction, right? I'm leaving Ferrari because they always finish second. Well, here we are again. You know.
Yeah. Listen, you know, I mean, Alonso is a fast guy, yeah, but it hasn't shown to be the most foreseeing guy. I mean, it's
Well,
not this.
I'm just saying, in this one prediction, right? He seems to be spot on. That's all I'm pointing out.
Mm.
And until it changes, then he will, of course, be spot on. So there we go.
Well, no, I agree with you, but you know, coming from a guy which, you know, used to come second with a team, and then he got to McLaren and he got, you know, second to last. Yeah, okay, cool, yeah, good enough. I mean, if that's what you're aiming for, yeah, good job to you. But
yeah,
no,
two times world champion. You're talking about.
Yeah, no, but you know, but I'm just saying that there is this is something that it is without any doubt. There is an attraction towards that team, which is really and
sure.
and even more so now that I think they haven't won the championship for 14 years. That's from 2007. There is the will, you know, from some people to be the next one, you know, the one which breaks down, you know, the long series of not winning the championship. I think that might be a really interesting push, you know, from Lewis.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Okay, so you know, I think it's been a really outstanding year for Lewis. Let me just wax lyrical for a little bit while you switch off. You know, Lewis is this year has kept his performance to an extremely high level, despite the fact there haven't been any really close contenders for the title. And this is something he hasn't done in previous years. Normally, when he doesn't have the pressure of competition, he will drop off his performance slightly. And certainly at the end of the season, having won the title, he tends to drop off his performance. This year, he's kept it extremely high all the way through the year, motivating himself despite the fact there hasn't been too many competitors along the way. Occasionally, maybe in individual races, but certainly not in terms of the championship. So I think this is one of Lewis's best years that I've seen him racing. He's been self-motivated to an extremely high level, and on what is turning out to be, or what turned out to be, one of the longest seasons going. So I'm extremely impressed with his racing this year. I think he's hit a new high, and I would expect this to continue into next year. I can't see any reason why he won't win again if he continues to be this motivated through the off season and into the beginning of next year. Of course, he could always suffer bad luck, and maybe Mercedes won't produce a car which is that good, but I find that extremely unlikely. So again, I think this for next year, I do think it's up to the other teams, i.e. Red Bull and Ferrari, to really up their game and improve their game. And I'm not sure this can be done. It looks like Red Bull are coming up with some packages, but I don't think they're going to be able to do it because the Honda just can't be packaged into a small enough package to give them the aero effect that they need. And then maybe Ferrari, but again, where can we see it coming from Ferrari? Because they've made so many mistakes this year and continue to all the way through the year. So What are we
Well,
looking for from Ferrari for next year?
I don't know. I think talking about Lewis, I think he has been racing like that s- uh, for a couple of years, and I think that he has to thank Nico Rosberg for that. Uh, I've seen personally, I've seen Lewis changing his attitude really, really profoundly since he was beaten by Nico, which is still something that I think it hurts him.
Mm.
It's still a spot. I think he still feels that a lot, and that's why, for example, it is one main reason why in the environment. I mean, nobody um, is saying that he's not a fast driver. He's a champion. He won 6 times. This is beyond a doubt. But that year, I think is the main reason why in the environment is not as how can I say, is not as regarded as someone like a Schumacher, for example, or or a Senna or other champions. I think that's a spot which has, and I don't think it's even by completely by his own fault, but it's still there, and I think he's suffering about that. As far as the other car goes, I think that Honda is putting up a very nice package. I will wait before giving them away from next year. The improvement has been really interesting. The engine seems to be solid. Uh, and Ferrari, I really know that the fact is, that next year is going to be a really strange year. It's going to be the year where everybody's waiting for the new rules to come up. So I don't know how much development they want to put, in the car next year, rather than spending a huge amount of money next year, because from 2021 they will not be allowed to spend as much money. So I think next year they're going to build facilities, or everybody which can do that, they will build a lot of stuff.
Mm.
And as far as Ferrari, I don't know. They used to have a pretty solid car last year. This car is not as good. If they manage to figure out where the problems were in this car, they might have a good package, because I mean, what I'm trying to say is that you start from a project which is, working in a way, and then you go in the wrong direction. It might be the case that it got enough data to say, okay, listen, we really fucked up this year. I mean, we thought, that was the way. Probably the way is the other one. So they might have something interesting.
Mm.
But again, I don't know. We'll see. I don't think that nobody next year is gonna put too much. Well, they're going to put effort, of course, but it's not going to be really, the most, the year where you can see, really, really strange stuff going on. There is one thing, though, I almost forgot, which was really interesting to me to say. Do you remember at the beginning of the year with the new front wings, that was, to the two approaches, the outwash and the inwash and whatever the fuck. I think it's interesting to see that by the end of the year, most of the cars that gone through an outwash criteria, which was the one which we criticized, for example, for Alpha, because that was the extreme one. But
Mm-hmm.
it seemed to be that that was the right way to go. So most of the cars at the end of the year, they went in that direction rather than the original Mercedes concept.
Mm.
So I mean,
Yeah, again, I might disagree with that slightly, because it appears that switching the tyres on is much more important, and therefore keeping that high downforce wing at the keeping the front wing as a high downforce wing to help the car gain that downforce throughout the whole body, and therefore keep those tyres warm, seems to be important, or more important anyway. So again, and I just put that down to the consistency of the tyre manufacturer being conservative. So of course their tyres are going to be harder to heat up, and so of course it's going to favour higher downforce tyres. And that's been the case for 10, 15 years in Formula One now. So I'm a little bit surprised that Ferrari decided to go down that path. But I understand that they would, like you said, I completely take your point of view, and in that, they went to push in a direction to try and get extra advantage, where
Right.
they thought they would have it, and they didn't realize that Mercedes were going to bring this second package at the
Right.
beginning of the year, which was going to give them all this extra downforce.
Right.
So it looked like a sure way to go at the beginning of the year, anyway.
Yeah.
And they were just unlucky with a poor strategy calls virtually all year. I mean, let's not forget here that Leclerc missed qualifying 3 because of a timing issue with him and his teammate.
Oh,
So this kind of thing is not Formula One, right?
no, that's interesting because I was really pissed when I saw that, and
Mm.
then I saw some other videos, and apparently it was a chain of events
Yes.
that started with Sainz.
Yeah.
Sainz made the second sector. I think he made it like 22 seconds slower than normal. He really waited, and Albion was in front of me, so he break down. And there was Vettel and Leclerc. They were really tight.
Yeah, I agree.
But it was kind of unfortunate,
And again, it's down to the last person to know that
Yes.
that's happening. And even if he'd got too close to Vettel, he still should have been too close to Vettel. Better
Right.
to make the line and give yourself a chance to make the lap
Right.
rather than miss out completely.
Yeah, no. I mean,
I think it's really poor on Ferrari's behalf.
well, they had problems in qualifying, so they were trying to be the absolute last car to do that, because so you
Again,
can take advantage of the tire and all the stuff. So they decided to play that that card, and it went wrong. And but
again, that's it. Exactly what I'm saying. It went wrong, and that's not Formula One, right? Things going wrong, like strategy. No, I mean it happens in the middle race when you've got to make split-second decisions, but not on things like timing, not timing
but
to the lap.
I mean, listen, I'm as disappointed as you. What I'm saying is that I think there is a difference between what has happened, in Monza, for example, and this time.
This is different. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this time, and again, it's really stupid for me to use the word unfortunate, because you should be able to to see things as they develop. But I blame this time them way less than they did in Monza. This time they were forced to do something like that, and it didn't work out. And shame of them. I make no excuse.
Okay.
But it's
Okay. I mean, I think it's a pretty poor mistake by the team. I'm not necessarily blaming Leclerc, because he might not have known, but then his team should have been telling him, you don't have time to drop back behind Vettel. Vettel's only just going to make it. You
no. They actually told him. He actually asked during the outlap. They told him they had 5 seconds when he just got out of the pit lane, and I think 2 to 3 corners. He asked, what was the margin, and the guy said, you have 0 margin, you got to push, but he couldn't push, because he couldn't start too close to Vettel. That was the problem.
Yeah, I accept that it's not advantageous to start that close, but it's better to start too close to Vettel than not start at all. So again, I just think it's a pretty poor mistake. That's all. But anyway. This just goes to show, and I'm just bringing this up as an example of the strategy errors that Ferrari have made pretty much all year, and I'm surprised. I'm surprised in one way, and I'm not surprised in another way. The team manager, being an engineer, like you said, way back at the beginning of the season, what's that about? Right?
That's
you called it. You called it, and I think they've really paid a heavy price for that. So maybe he's learned this year, and he will delegate the strategy to a proper strategist.
Yeah.
And maybe that'll work out a little better for them next year. But for him, some of the decisions coming from the Ferrari pit wall have been shocking. Absolutely shocking.
No, I agree with you. The thing which is really pissing me off, because I'm way more angry than you about all the mistakes they made, and the thing which is really shameful is that last year, the previous team manager, Maurizio Rivabene, he said, I can't remember which race, he said, he says something on the line like, we need more track experience people on the pit, that they can read what is actually fucking happened on the track. and not as many engineers, which can read only numbers and they can figure out. We need some people which they actually look at the track, not at the monitor.
Mm.
And that was last year. And it seems to be that the lesson was lost on them, which is really, I mean, it's fucking insane. But,
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
anyway.
well, another year down, and maybe they'll make the correction for next year.
Yeah.
One can but hope, and maybe they'll put much more downforce on that Ferrari. Let's just hope as well. And if that's the case, then they've got a chance. It seems to me they haven't backed themselves with full confidence.
Yeah.
They should have gone, well, if we've got a better engine than Mercedes, then all we've got to do is produce a similar car, and we've got the advantage.
Right.
And they didn't do that. They sort of went, no, let's just try and go a different way. And that's clearly in hindsight, and only in hindsight, that's been a mistake. Pre-season, it was a different story, of course.
It was a different story, and nobody really knows what would have happened if they didn't make so many mistakes at the beginning of the season. Because I think it's a different thing. When you're running a season and you're ahead, or when you're running a season that you've got to catch up. It's different because this is, when you're catching up, it's the moment where you're making mistakes. And I think it's, and again, I'm not excusing Ferrari or Red Bull or, any other one. But if you look at it, I can recall only one time that Mercedes made a mistake, which was in Brazil last, previous race. But other than that, the mistakes were made by the contenders, the people which have to catch up, because you got more pressure, and so we never know what would have happened if Ferrari had a different start and they got the point that apparently they deserved at the beginning, if not by their own fuck ups. So it's really complicated. But
yeah, I mean, I wouldn't disagree too much there. Okay, I mean, I think we've covered the two championship teams, or the two best teams. Again, just to say, fantastic season by Mercedes, really. And it would have been difficult for any team to beat them, even though clearly both teams had a chance to, or Ferrari had a chance to, if they'd maybe started the season perfectly. Nonetheless,
fantastic season was for McLaren. I'm really blown away by what they did with what they did. They have two fantastic drivers, really good. Carlos Sainz is almost unrecognizable by how good he is.
Mm-hmm.
He's driving in a totally different way. Norris is amazing. I can only, I mean, the guy is as fast as he's ugly, because fuck me, he's really ugly. But I mean, he's young, but he's really good. I love the guy. He's really, really, really good. With that kind, So.
I mean, again, quite amazing, really, because he came from nowhere. It seems to me. I mean, McLaren must have just seen him and gone, "Oh yeah, okay, this is the kid. This is the kid." And I saw him pre-season doing some karting here and there and all of this, and he was okay. I mean, he wasn't exceptional, but he was okay. And then I thought, well, he's young, and he's probably not got the strength to drive a Formula One car, with the G-forces flat out, and then also do all the rest of the stuff. But no, he's got it all. He's got it all, and for a young man like that, that's super impressive.
Yeah,
he kind of reminds me of Max Verstappen in that first year.
Yes.
So I'm super happy that they gave him a car that he could really show something in. And I'm as happy for him as I am disappointed for George Russell, because he has also had a stellar year, just in a car which clearly doesn't do anything.
Yeah.
And I'd love to see him. I mean, the other drivers, like what is it? Most of the other drivers, I mean, Norris's comment of saying, who did you look up to? And he said, well, I've got a picture of Albon on my wall. I mean, this is Norris, right? This is Norris all over, right?
Right.
And not just that, because the other drivers, they all looked up to Albon coming up through the thing, because obviously he was the fastest of their generation. So to be in a car beating Albon, it must have thrilled him hugely.
Right.
And there you go. Also, it kind of vindicates the fact that Honda were the weak link in that McLaren setup for the past few years, because obviously the Renault engine is not the best engine on the grid, as we could see.
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe Honda have been a little lucky in some ways, and I would point to the sorry, I'm a bit out of breath, but the record that or the unreliability record of Honda in Toro Rosso this year.
Yeah.
Apparently, I think it was Gasly's had 7 engines.
Yeah.
Right? You're only supposed to have 3. Okay.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I mean, on the
yeah.
use Toro Rosso as the as cannon fodder, to test stuff.
Exactly.
It was it was really clear that they were doing that kind of game. They were testing shit with Toro Rosso in order to shine with Red Bull, especially with Verstappen. And I got to say that that approach actually paid. If they were coming from a year where they had only one team, which was McLaren, where they were testing all the stuff, and think that having a 2-team setup like they did, it actually showed what an engine is capable of. If I mean, they have a lot of delay in development, but
Yeah.
they managed to do that. So
Okay. We've just had a couple of chat things in here. Fiona says, "Hi everybody, enjoying the stream. Thank you very much, Fiona." And this is for Dragnaut. Meow. Meow. There we go.
I don't even want to know what the fuck the guy said.
Okay,
I mean,
right.
he's from America. They only turn left. So
Okay, I don't think that's strictly true, because Nigel Mansell, but nevertheless.
yeah.
Okay, so is there any other teams you wish to mention this year?
Well, Renault was pretty disappointing. Well, not teams. It was a pretty disappointing end of career for Nico Hülkenberg. I think it was a really, really it was a driver which was taken in high consideration, but he never, for one reason or the other, he never he never shined. Kubica, I'm not surprised. I mean, I'm happy. From a human point of view, I'm happy for the guy, but I really made the expectation were never there. And other than that, I'm sorry for Ricciardo. It's I mean, the guy is still. I mean, in my mind, is still the best guy ever. I mean, he's. I think it's the only one which I would go out and have a beer with, of all the drivers over there.
Okay.
Yeah. So
I understand what you're saying. You mean you like a good drink, but I guarantee you, if Kimi Raikkonen turned up for a boozer, you'd go as well.
Well,
but nonetheless,
no, hold on a second. I would go with Kimi if he pays.
Well, of course he's going to pay. He's a multi-millionaire.
Yeah. I mean, you never know with Kimi, so I wouldn't be so sure about that. But yeah.
Yeah, well, you bring the women, and Kimi will be there. That's all.
Right.
Anyway, yeah, no, just to say on Hulkenberg, I've really respected his driving through his career at Formula One. I saw him come in and become a big thing, or a highly rated driver. He came in as a highly rated driver, and he goes out as a highly rated driver. I think it's sad he hasn't been given a chance in one of the top teams, but that's politics for you. Mm-hmm. And he never was very political. So let's just say, kudos to those that play the game and manage to get in the right teams. I just think Hulkenberg is maybe too sharp a personality to get the sponsors behind him. But he's a hell of a driver, and I really hope, and I will follow him in other series as soon as he moves to another series. I will definitely follow him because I want to see how good he can be. My best guess is he'll go to DTM, but there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. As for Ricciardo, well, yes, definitely he's He's learnt his trade very well, and he's clearly a good team leader. I don't blame him for going to Renault, because if you can get to a works team, then you stand a chance, right? And if the works team puts the money behind it, it's just unfortunate that Renault decided not to really back their Formula One team the way Mercedes did, but then you can't really blame them for that. Once they found there were problems producing the ERS, etc., then of course it's to be expected. Other teams to mention, really, Alfa Romeo started extremely strong.
Yeah.
Obviously have run out of money.
Yeah.
That's clear. And
I think
once they were given the Ferrari front wing, then things started changing their way again.
Yeah.
But if they've got no extra money to develop the front wing once it's on their car, then they can't do much more with it. So hopefully for next year they'll have a better car, and Ferrari will learn the lesson that to have a number 2 team, which is a lot closer to the number 1 team, is better.
I think that Alpha paid also a lot of inexperience at the pit. They made some really fucked up calls, and in the last races when they tried to race a race the way it's supposed to be raced, the results were there. I mean, of course, if you change tires in some fucked up way, and put square tires because you think it's going to be good, you fuck it up. So I think they tried a little bit too hard.
Yeah,
but overall it was quite disappointing, especially having seen the beginning of the season. But I think you're right when you say that they finished the money. Development wasn't there, so yeah.
And again,
it's a shame.
Hopefully for the next year they will have rectified that, and Ferrari will keep them in the loop a lot more as well. This is what I hope, because that's what should have been going on this year. Although with Ferrari's development problems, it's not really surprising. Okay, so overall, anything else you wanted to add?
Oh yeah, I mean, there was something really interesting which happened last race. There was a Ferrari mechanic which just retired, and the reason why I'm saying that is because that guy started to work in the Ferrari team when he was 16.
Wow.
And he just retired. I think he's 58, 60 years old. He made more than 500 Grand Prix, and he has seen everybody. And actually, just to give you a rough idea what kind of person it is, and what kind of camaraderie you can develop, this kind of environment. You've seen that Alonso was on the grid. And actually, Alonso went to that guy in Ferrari, and give him a hug and say, he was congratulating the guy. So, I mean, Alonso and Ferrari, you know where I'm going, right? So, but he went to the guy and congratulated. So that was really nice. I mean, for a guy to spend something like 40, 52 years, on the track, 42 years, it's. Yeah, I mean,
that's amazing. Yeah,
it is.
Yeah. He probably would have seen Mansell there as well then.
Oh yeah. I mean, he started when he was 16, and he's 58. So yeah,
just. Okay, great.
So next race is going to be in 104 days and something.
I can't fucking wait. Oh, my. I've had enough of it this year, I tell you. 21 races is too much.
That's going to be 22 next year, man.
Oh, fuck off.
Yeah.
I just, let's just say not for kids straight away, right? Demonetized. All of that bollocks. Yeah, fuck you. I'm pissed off with it this year. I can tell you that much.
Well, however, they're going to have 2 more races. One in Holland, in Zandvoort, I think they're racing. And the other one.
Now, I've got to just say, but Zandvoort, fuck me, there used to be boring races there.
Yeah.
I remember them racing at Zandvoort, and my God, they were so boring.
Yeah, I know.
Right, and that's that now, and that was when the cars were exciting.
Right.
So, I mean, what does it mean now the cars are boring? I mean,
I have no fucking idea. But, luckily enough, we have a brand new track in Vietnam, of all the places. Because Because I mean,
have you seen the layout? Have you seen the layout?
no.
Oh no, dude!
I refuse to see the layout. I refuse to see that. Was
Yeah,
it?
yeah.
Is it a Tilke track?
Yes, it is. It
Fuck
fucking is.
me sideways.
It's basically 2 long straights with a hairpin at one end and a couple of 90-degree turns at the other.
Right.
Familiar?
Yeah.
Does that sound familiar?
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
it fucking does. Boring as shit. So no, I don't hold out too much hope for either of the new course tracks next year. However, 22 races. I guess that's more sleep time for us.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes. Yes.
And there you go. Yes. Anyway, enough jokes for this year. It has been a great year. One of Lewis's best, I believe, and I'm thrilled. So absolutely thrilled. If I could just say it one more time: 6 times world champion Lewis Hamilton of Great Britain.
I'm happy.
Whoa, the best driver ever in the universe. Fantastic.
I'm happy
And-
you had a good time. You know, seeing a Brit winning on a German car. So yeah.
It's not a German car, dude.
Oh, yes, it is.
It may have a Mercedes badge on it, but it's built in Britain. That's all I'm
Right.
saying.
Yeah, yeah. No, I know. Yeah, I think. Yeah, Toto Wolff is from Essex,
Scunthorpe,
right? Yeah.
Scunthorpe, yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Toto Wolff from Scunthorpe, and
yeah.
Mercedes is actually spelt completely differently.
Right,
Let me just say
right.
that. It's actually spelt Brackley.
Yes.
Yeah, that's how you spell Mercedes. Brackley.
Right.
That's how you pronounce it, anyway. So
Yeah.
no, I'm thrilled.
Listen, you know, whatever makes you happy, I'm happy. So fuck it.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. It does. It does. Again, I'll be looking forward to next year even more, though, because next year Ferrari are bound to have rectified the issues from this year, and I think we can expect at least 2 teams to be running against Mercedes as the Honda Red Bull picks up the pace again. So for sure, next year is going to be the year, right?
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Okay, so thank you very much, everybody, for being with us this year. It's been a long run, but a good run.
Yeah.
And all we can say is we will see you in the new year. Everybody have a Merry Christmas and take care. And just ciao from me.
Ciao, ciao.
Ciao, ciao, everybody. Thank you.